Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Fatihah. Today I will share my radar project on network test for Maxis. My phone number start with 017, so it's Maxis service. Firstly, determine downlink frequency range and its bandwidth provided by Maxis 2G, where it's within 1805 to 1825 MHz using spectrum analyzer and directional antenna. First step, press frequency button. Choose start frequency at 1800 MHz and stop frequency at 1835 MHz. Okay, and then after the signal appear, press marker 1 button and tune to 1805 MHz to find the first frequency range for Maxis 2G. Okay, so we got the 1805 MHz as shown in at the screen. Now it's time to tune to 1825 MHz, which is the ending frequency range for Maxis 2G. So we can confirm the frequency range for Maxis 2G provided by MCMC. So we have proven that 1825 MHz is the ending frequency for Maxis 2G. Then to check the bandwidth, tune the marker 1 to 1805 MHz. And then tune marker 2 to the right edge of the signal, which is 1825 MHz, to obtain the bandwidth. So we got the bandwidth at 17 MHz. Next, determine the direction of base station using directional antenna. Firstly, lift the antenna and point the direction of the antenna to the right, left, back, front and upper direction is to find the direction of the base station of current Maxis 2G downlink. Observe the changes to the frequency on the spectrum analyzer screen. If the signal amplitude increases on a particular direction, hence the direction of the base station is identified. Next, determine the suitable antenna used for Maxis 2G frequency range using omnidirectional antenna. Firstly, check the downlink frequency range for Maxis 2G. And then install the antenna on the port provided on the spectrum analyzer. The antenna can be used for frequency range of 700 MHz to 2.5 GHz, so it's suitable to be tested for Maxis 2G, as shown here. Then press frequency button, choose start frequency at 1800 MHz and choose stop frequency at 1830 MHz. Press scale and auto scale. Then press marker 1 and tune to 1805 MHz. Press marker 2 and tune to 1825 MHz. Check for its return loss. If it's below minus 10 dB, then it's good and suitable antenna for Maxis 2G because it only has 10% losses. Then downlink frequency of Maxis 2G is scanned using the same antenna as before. Firstly, choose start frequency at 1800 MHz and stop frequency at 1830 MHz. Then choose marker 1 and move marker 1 to 1805 MHz. And then choose marker 2 and move marker 2 to 1825 MHz. It can be observed that at start frequency RSSI is minus 87.37 dBm and at stop frequency RSSI is minus 93.75 dBm. Hence, the signal is weak towards the stop frequency of the downlink frequency band of Maxis 2G that is verified using this omnidirectional antenna. Hence, from this, we can conclude that Maxis 2G has bandwidth of approximately 20 MHz by using this antenna. So, according to MCMC, the uplink frequency range for Maxis 2G is from 1710 MHz to 1730 MHz with total bandwidth of 20 MHz. The test verification for uplink frequency follow the same steps as downlink frequency, except for it requires us to make a call first. After then setting the start and stop frequency of the uplink frequency range, the spectrum analyzer will act as receiver and it will show a peak if it receives a call from the same network provider, which is in this case Maxis. Next, determine the suitable antenna used for Maxis 4G using 2400 MHz omnidirectional antenna. Firstly, following the same step as before, install the antenna on the port and check the downlink frequency range for Maxis 4G, which is from 2630 MHz to 2640 MHz. And then press frequency button, choose start frequency at 2630 MHz and stop frequency at 2640 MHz. And then press scale, press auto scale. Then press marker 1 and tune to 2630 MHz. And then press marker 2 and tune to 2640 MHz. The return loss is minus 6 dB. Hence, this antenna cannot be used for Maxis 4G because it has 25% losses. Received signal strength indication RSSI for Maxis 2G can be determined using network signal info apps, where it can be observed that it has network strength of minus 51 dBn that indicates a good signal strength which is lower than minus 100 dBm. Besides, network strength can also be determined using this network signal info application in terms of reference signal receive power RSRP, where it can be observed from the screen that the network strength of Maxis 4G it was fluctuating between minus 74 dBn to minus 80 dBn during the test. Hence, it indicates that Maxis 4G has good signal power.